Good morning. Welcome to my study. I've been in Philippians this morning, and so there are a lot of thoughts already I want to share as promised. But I thought it might be helpful before I do to back up a little bit and talk about my approach to studying a text. Have you ever watched a movie with a friend or child, or maybe your spouse is like this, and the entire time you're watching the movie for the first time, both of you, all of you together, and the entire time they're asking you questions. They're like, "Who did it?" I'm probably usually asking my wife this question. So like, they're trying to ask you all these questions about the movie, and you're like, "I don't know. I've never seen the movie before." We're going to read Philippians as if we've never read it before. That may be a little different if we were doing like a big Bible study or a sermon series. We might start with here's the big idea of Philippians, and here's the structure, and here's how all the parts and pieces fit together. I I think it's actually important to go a little bit slower and be a little bit more careful in how we approach this text. This is how I do it. It's not the only way to do it, but it's how I do it. I want to read through as if I were being carried through, holding the hand of the author. What that means is there's going to be times where we don't know what the author means. We don't know what Paul meant. Maybe he uses a word that has lots of different meanings. All words have lots of different meanings, and we're trying to figure out which one of those meanings he meant in this particular verse. And so there's ambiguity and lack of clarity, and there's fuzziness. Well, a good author will oftentimes create some of that dramatic tension, make something intentionally ambiguous, and then later when he's writing, answer the ambiguity. That's what a good author does, right? He doesn't give you, spoon feed you everything. And that happens a lot in the New Testament, it happens a lot in Paul's writings. I would argue that it happens in all writing. So I just say that to say there may be times early on as we're reading together where you're like, well, what does this mean? And I'm going to say, I don't know. I haven't watched the movie before. You've watched it. You've probably read Philippians. I've read Philippians. So yeah, we have some ideas. And truthfully, we've read other parts of the New Testament that maybe the original readers of this have not read. But instead of us skipping ahead and using all the resources, we're going to, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to share is we're going to go carefully, slowly, word by word in our thinking. I won't cover every single word in the study so that we are intentional about paying attention to what the author says and not skipping ahead or guessing or filling in the gaps with what we think we already know. And that will protect us from reading our own interpretations into the scripture. And instead of that, allowing the scripture to tell us what to think about whatever it's speaking to. I hope that's helpful.